Hey, church family, and I hope also that some of our community here in Niceville and the area, and perhaps even people, across our nation are watching this. And I really do want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us for this. Lately, our nation has been torn over issues of race and other things for that matter. And I, for one, and probably many of you have been pretty broken about what's going on. And I think one of the things that are important for us to do is to really just understand each other, understand where we're coming from, understand what's going on. And, I am the pastor of First Baptist Church on Bayshore, which is predominantly white. And I am white. And these are three of our members of our church, Dennis and Keisha and Miss Pam. And they are members of our church. And in case you could not tell, they are not white. And they are not only in the minority in our community, but in the minority in our church. And I really thank you so much for your willingness to be with me tonight and your willingness to talk. And I just hope everyone who's watching this understands that these are members of our church. So they are with us. We are family. This is family talking about these issues. And I just really, I want to learn, if nothing else, and I think you'll benefit from learning from them and their perspectives. And maybe we can talk about how we can be more like the kingdom of God on earth. So first, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and your background and how long you've been in our community and how long you've been a part of our church. So I'll let you go first, Dennis.
All right, my name is Dennis Ely. Grew up in Arkansas, Twin Groves, Arkansas. Moved here 2006. Been in Niceville about 2009. Been married for 14 years. Been with my wife for 18 years. I have 3 kids, Dominic, Gianna, and Emerson. And that's me. And I've been with the church family, for almost 6 years now. So.
My name is Keisha. I am the oldest of 5 kids. We grew up in a predominantly white church. My dad was our youth pastor there. I grew up in a predominantly white town, went to a white school. I've been in Niceville for 17 years. My husband, who is white, and I have been married for 22 years. We're both out of the military. We've got 3 kids. And I've been a member of First Baptist for 11 years, but only active for about 7. So.
And I am Pamela. I am the youngest sibling of 12.
Wow.
I was born in Alabama and grew up in Central Florida. And I came from a Southern Baptist background. I've been in Niceville 21 years, and I've been active 2 years. I remember 1. And that's it.
Well, thanks again so much. And I'm just going to get started with the pretty heavy questions here. We hear, and I think we see, but we hear that many black people feel that they are treated differently, and often I would say unfairly, because of the color of their skin. And you are people who have chosen to have close relationships, really close relationships with people of other races. But I would say this question, because of your observations, your experiences, do you observe this to be true, that black people are treated differently?
Yes. In the grocery store, I worked in the grocery, in the public. And a form of racism to me, when you in my line, I tell you your total for your groceries, and you slam it on the counter and not put it in my hand, or you holding your money by the corner as if don't touch me.
Mm.
That's really sickening to me. But it does happen.
Something I've observed, and this is in the church, and it might just because I'm a woman, women might notice these things more than men do. And it might just be women tend to be more cliquey than men do. When we've had, and I'm just one person, I've tried to go out of my way whenever I see Black people visit the church to go and introduce myself to them. So I'm like, hey, we got another one. But
I appreciate that as a pastor who wants to.
So I'll try to, go introduce myself to them, but I'm not as much as I talk. I'm not very social, so I can go and introduce myself to a person and hope and pray that they stay. But we've had people come and visit, but they typically don't end up staying. And again, I don't know, but I feel like people have been members of this church for so long, so they've already got their groups of friends. So it's hard for an outsider to come in and feel included. That's just what I've observed, that people might not feel as included. So.
And, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I've observed it. I see it in the world. I'm looking more outwards about it. In the church, I haven't witnessed that myself. Like she said, the woman's probably pay attention more to detail. But there are sometimes, that I've been with my wife and we've been out that I'm not going to say we was treated differently, but we was looked at differently. I could see people look at us and kind of stare, but I don't bring it to her attention. Just a simple fact, there's no need to ruin an evening or something like that. But I do see out in the world that yes, there is a different treatment for white people and Black people. And it goes. I've seen it. I've seen that. I've been a part of that. As in how things come to you that you don't particularly know why, but you know why. Because it can be the exact same thing you just did and someone else did something and they're white and you're Black. So yeah, definitely the treatment out there in the past has been worse than what I have witnessed lately. But I can see it on television and things like that. So
recently, a lady posted a question on social media asking, she was saying, I'm moving to the area, we're an interracial couple, what are your experiences? And I told her some negative and positive experiences that I've had, and a white lady said, you're lying, that doesn't happen in Niceville. Wow. I said, well, because it hasn't happened to you, because you haven't witnessed it. You have blinders on if you think that Niceville's perfect. Nowhere is perfect. This goes on in Niceville too, in little old Niceville. So, I've experienced it too, even in our great little town. I love Niceville, but it needs work.
So I know there are people who are listening to this would probably say, well, that's not really an issue of race. You just happen to be seeing it through that filter. But, I mean, do you have more, and maybe it's you, maybe it's your family, just here is an example I have seen of prejudice, which, Pam, you kind of hit on that, but do you have some examples of that? And I mean, again, we're not necessarily talking about Minneapolis. We're talking about Niceville, Florida,
Yes.
And then, too, me working in first impression ministry, I'm at the door, I'm greeting everybody. Smiles, and the people appreciate me. I haven't been shown no prejudice in this church.
Oh, praise God for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you have to show yourself friendly if you want to make friends. And that's just natural for me.
I have, so when I came back from a trip, I was unloading my truck. It was daylight. I was unloading my truck in front of my house when I lived on Juniper. And I mean, I was like, obviously I live here, but the police officer stopped and he was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, unloading my truck. And he's like, so this is your house? And I was like, wow, yes. He was like, how long you lived here? And I was like, 2 years. He was like, okay. Well, he drove off. Well, that evening, I was walking over by Ruckle. I used to walk at night because I was paranoid about some personal stuff. But anyway, I got stopped by the same police officer, but another police officer came and, you know, they asked for my ID. And I was like, y'all, what am I doing? I'm just walking. Like, and I thought, I was like, this has to be because
Wow.
I'm black. Like, and not because I haven't seen any white people or other ethnicities pulled over, but I just knew it was because I was black.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, Dennis, you know, particularly black men, you know, experience this, or at least share that they experience this the most. What about you on a personal level?
You know, in Niceville or just in general?
Both, yeah.
Okay. In Niceville, I have not really experienced a lot, you know, that has blatantly been in my eyes, been here, you know, since 2009 with that. But there has been some things that out here that I can see that people look at me different, especially in my work. You know, when they find out I'm the district manager, they look at me like, oh, you, they like, you're overall, you know, type thing. And I'm like, well, I'm not. Yes, I am. You know, and it's different because, you know, I feel like dress appropriately, you know, not like, you know, something that's totally off, and they're asking that question and look at me like, wow, like they're surprised about it, you know, type thing. So, but other than that, I mean, I'm pretty much of a work home type person, so I really don't have a lot. But the most I see, you know, is that the looks that I get, you know, the things like that. But I will say that I know that there's unfair treatment here. I'm going to say that there's a couple people that I have spoken to when I first moved here. It was a few ladies that I have met, black ladies, and a black, you know, a few black gentlemen. They have whispered to me, you know, to let me know, because, you know, they asked where you from, where you been, how long you been here. And it was like, man, you got to watch out. There's some people here, you know, that's really racist in this town, you know, don't let them fool you, you know, type thing. So you kind of take that in stride, but so I know it's here, you know, just not directly, but in Arkansas, it was a little different.
I think you said something that is very insightful. You probably don't even realize you said this, but when I asked you the question, you said, in Niceville, I haven't experienced it a lot. I would never say that.
Yeah.
Because if I experienced it one time, that would be a lot to me. But it shows you're with the mentality that it's going to come.
Yes.
And it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah.
I haven't had too many looks. Like, I think that is very revealing of the different experience that you have and I have.
Yes.
Not that I love you, man. I mean,
I know.
you came over to my house a couple weeks
That's
ago.
right.
So, yeah, I
That's
mean,
right.
Anyway, I hope one of my kids marries one of your daughters, but that's a whole other conversation. But, you know, like,
Sweet.
I just think it's just, that shows kind of the experience of life, the things that you have to push through.
Yes, and that scares me, you know, for, you know, other people in the world as well as my children. You know, when I really look at what's close to me, you know, and I see the young kids out and about, even, you know, Mr. Wyatt and his children, you know, and the post that his wife posted, it was just remarkable, and I love it, you know. So when I look at that, and I have said what you were saying to yourself, you know, once is a lot. It only takes one time, you know what I'm saying, for something terrible to happen. So when I say I get a look, and then you say that, I was like, what if that look was something else? I do say that to myself. And what if that look turns into something else with my children, you know, and it's a little bit further. So I try to, you know, and I think about that, and you're absolutely right with it. That's kind of weird to kind of downplay it, you know, to say, I got back with a look, you know, type thing, you know, or type thing, or just let it roll off your back. We shouldn't have to deal with that anywhere, at any time, because of the color of your skin.
I think about it in other issues, you know, that if you had said, like, has anybody treated you fairly? Not a whole lot. It's like, wait, not a whole lot. Like, you know, it shouldn't happen at all. So there's a lot of frustration from the black community right now. While at the same time, many people are saying that we have come so far. Could you speak to this specifically connected to all that is going on right now?
Well, I can. From where I grew up at in Central Florida, it was predominantly white area. There was some blacks in there, some Mexicans, but you didn't date outside of your race. But today, in that area, you got white girls and black boys and Puerto Rican girls. The area is totally mixed now. And it's just wonderful because it didn't used to be like that. I graduated in 1986. We had 76 people in our class. And you could probably count on both hands with change how many blacks was in that class.
Mm-hmm.
But to see them mixing like that is wonderful to me. Because my daddy didn't teach us to be prejudiced.
Mm-hmm.
You help one another. You didn't hurt them, no matter the color of their skin. So guess what? If I cut you and I cut me and our blood drip, I'm not going to know your blood from my blood.
Mm-hmm.
And when we die, we're going back to dust. Yes.
Mm.
So that's, I would say we've come that far.
I feel like this time people are really getting it. They're really getting why we're so upset, why we're scared. They're really wanting to stand with us, and you know, like, I feel you, like, I love you, you're my sister, you're my brother. I want to, I want to know what's going on or how you're feeling. I feel like this time I feel like it's really going to be different this time, and that things, I feel like if it keeps going this way, things can really change. I know that racism is never going to go away. And I know that things are not going to, just be hunky-dory, forever. But I feel like this time it's really going to be better. Things are really going to click with people.
One of the things she said, if I remember correctly, is she feels racism is going to always be here, right? And it's going to get better. It has gotten better. It really has. We've seen it over time. We've seen how bad it was, in the past, in history, and how well we are treated. Because, we could talk about that later, but I'm treated so well here in the church. And I'm blessed. And I love it, so. And, not went through some of the things I went through as a younger kid, I could see that things have changed. You can see it, but we've come far, but we haven't come far enough. And that's how I feel. And that's why I'm here, to help, people get educated, so they can be out there to help change the world. And how we're going to change that is through Jesus. And how do we, I can't bring him down. I can bring him down through his word and talk to people. So we're going to, it has changed, but it's still so frustrating when I am settling for mediocre. I have to stop that, and I tell myself that, but, and that's been one of the things that, have kept me going, and saying, well, it's not bad, stay out of this, do this, go over here, watch this, watch that. I got to step up. One of my favorite songs, you might not like it, it's Man in the Mirror,
By Michael Jackson?
By Michael Jackson. And that's one of my favorite songs. So I got to start with me. So, and that's what, how far have I come to help change things? So, but yeah, we got a lot of work to do. We definitely have a lot of work to do.
I know, that's what I keep saying, like, what else can I do to help things change? Like, I can't just keep posting things on Facebook. Like, I need to really do something. Like, what can I really be doing to help change people's minds, or to get people, to empathize with how we're feeling? And, I pray about it. I still just don't really know what else I can do to get people to unify.
One of the things she said is, what can we do, right, to help? What I told myself I gotta have, and what I would like, I think it will help, society if people have the conversations that we are having now, sitting at the table with our loved ones, in our circles, with people we know, in our families, our friends, or wherever it may be, they're saying things or doing things that you know that they don't have Christ in their heart. If you're doing these things, you can't say you love him and you're talking that way and treating people that way. So I just say what I have to do is when I'm sitting there and not be silenced when I hear it, because sometimes silence can be a sense of approval.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to speak up, you know, through, you know, Christ through me about, you know, that's wrong. You shouldn't say that. Why are you talking like that? Your heart shouldn't be like that. You should love him. Why would you not want your daughter to marry a black guy? Why would you not like, you know, talk about it? Mm. But I venture if everybody continue to have those conversations in their homes and talking to their friends and their family and their loved ones, you know, when they see this and their heart is not right, that's going to help change the word, you know, through the word of Christ to bring that. If we sit there and don't say anything, I feel it would keep happening because I would say he will pass that on to someone else to teach them teach them wrong. So, and the people in that circle, if they're teaching them and they're not willing to step up and talk about it, that person is going to grow up the same way. And it's going to continue this vicious cycle. You know, so I think people have to step up and speak up. You know, that's what I feel I have to do when I'm sitting there and not being, well, you just got that look. I'm not saying go out looking for confrontation or every time somebody look at you, approach you. I'm not saying that. It's just when you're sitting there and you're close to someone and you know that they're not right. When you're close, if everyone would do that, you know, we can definitely start to make even greater improvements. Then hopefully we can get to the bottom of it and we don't have that in the world. Because I don't want to just minimize. I want to go.
So we as Christians should want to be people who see the kingdom of God happening on earth. And just to be very clear about that is the Bible is very clear. All nations, all tongues, all races, that's a picture of the kingdom of God. So we should say that's what the church should look like. So how can we, and what we, white Christians, come alongside our black brothers and sisters right now? You kind of talked about what y'all are doing. Like, what can I do? If I'm truly sincere, which I am, you know, what can we do right now?
Well, you ask as white Christians to walk alongside us. How does that look? That's a tough question. You know, it really is. But I will say, we had a peaceful protest recently here in Niceville, and having Mr. Wyatt and Luca and Michael come out, and Shannon and other people from our church. And I'm sure there was a lot more Christians there. People that I recognize that was there that go to church with me, and being there and standing there with us. So what I'm saying is being a part of things like that. If you can be there, be there. That's how Christians walk alongside. When there's things that, blacks are going, having an event, participate in, be there, show the love. I'm here with you, and everything. When you say that, that's about one of the things I could think of that definitely can help, when we have those things. It's really hard to say, what can you do to walk alongside me? It's speak up. It's like I said earlier as well. Speak up. If I'm there, or if you're there and someone says something, somebody says something, not to just jump on somebody to defend them, but to be alongside them, to stand up for them, be like, hey, look, that's not right. We know what's going on here, that type of thing. So to walk alongside to be with him, I think doing that as Christians, like I said, it's always got to come through the Word of God. He's got to flow through you with it, and if you do that, that's what I feel. Everybody walk alongside each other with that, but that's more so as being part of things that in the black community that's going on.
And I think that I've had so many people in the church, like reach out to me and ask, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Like, what can I do? Things like that help, like, asking questions. Just, I feel like this has helped more people not be scared. They see other white people standing with us at protests, and they're like, that's something I can do. They don't have to be ashamed or scared, they know that, you know, I feel loved in this church as well. I feel welcome. I feel like now people are just really, you know, wanting to, I don't want to say feel what I feel. They're wanting to understand more of how we're feeling. So I think that's been good.
So I got to say something, because I'd be, you know, disrespecting you if I didn't say this. When all this was happening, you did reach out to me, and that's walking with me. I mean, that's being right there with me, and I appreciate that. And to the bottom of my heart, that really helps, you know, knowing that. And I know you're not doing it just because. That's where you're at. You're with Christ, and being there, and for the church family. If you see us out there, you might not have our numbers to be able to do it, but speak to us. Speak to us. You know, empathize with us. You know, let us know what's going on in our culture is not right, and that you are aware, and that you're praying for us and pray for us. You know, that's the way that you could definitely walk with us when we're going through it as a cultural thing, and it's out here with blacks. Talk to us. Don't shy away from it. Speak to us like you do.
I did have someone in the church reach out to me and ask, you know, why do y'all have to protest? Why do y'all get so upset? Why do y'all feel like this is just bringing more division? This protesting is just bringing more division. I said, no, the rioting and the looting is bringing more division.
Yeah.
That's completely different from the protesting. But someone said something that really resonated with me. Like, whenever someone, and I don't want to compare this to cancer or a death, but whenever someone needs you or they're hurting, you rally around them and you love on them.
Wow.
And right now we're hurting. I feel like we just need y'all to feel it. We need y'all to understand. And I want to tell her, I need you to just be with me and not question the way that I'm feeling. Just hug me. And I don't even like hugs. Just hug me and tell me that you're there for me. You don't even have to understand it, because there's no way you'll ever understand, but just be there. You don't even have to get it. Just be there. So
that's so good. Yeah. I mean, I said I wasn't going to say, but that's true even in our homes. You know, there's a lot of times that my wife may feel a certain way, and I love my wife, but I'm never going to understand why whatever bothers her. She doesn't need me to understand it. She just needs to know I care about her and love her. And the truth is, I'm never going to fully understand, you know, how you feel right now, what you're going through. But that doesn't mean I can't love you fully, you know. And I think that was so good. Is there anything else you would like to share? Something you want people to know? And again, I mean, you're primarily talking to your church, who are primarily white. Like, what do we need to know?
That we are all humans. It's all about the heart. I can't express that enough. I can't express that enough. It's all about God's love. Yes. If he didn't love us all, he wouldn't have said, for God so loved the world. And that's what he wants us to love our neighbors as ourselves.
I read something else that said, I pray for my son different than a white woman would pray for her son. And I feel like you and Justin and the Christies, you and Brandy, I'm not sure if you have sons or not, but
no children.
That's things that we all have to worry about. You know, whenever the past few years since Jordan was about 12, when he leaves the house, like, I'm worried. Luckily, he's very respectful, and we've told him, you know, survive the situation. You know, told him what he needs to do. If he feels like he's been treated unfairly, what he needs to do, not try to handle it himself. Mm-hmm. Because Jordan, even though he's mixed, people look at him and see a big black kid. Mm-hmm. And that is not working in his favor. Mm-hmm. So he's already got, that working against him. Dominic will have the same problem. Your boys will have the same problems. I want people to understand that, it's something that we shouldn't have to worry about. We shouldn't have to cry about. And we just need people to understand that we're hurting because of it. I don't want to lose my kids. Mm-hmm. Like, it's getting to where it's just, I don't want to be scared every time my kids leave the house. Mm-hmm.
The things that the ladies are saying, definitely echo what they're saying. It's scary. Like I said in the beginning, thinking about like when she talked about my son Dominic, I had to have that talk.
We shouldn't have to with 11-year-olds.
Exactly. I was so floored that I had to have that talk, but I'm glad I did. They need to know what's going on in the world, but it's sad. And it really hurts, and it hurts to talk about it now. I'm trying to fight it back, but it really does. But if I could say anything, please have those conversations and talk about it. With your friends and in your circle when you see that. If we do that, I think we can definitely make a change, save a life, and then save many lives. Down the road with that, and people can live peacefully. Through Christ. Please, if anything, have those conversations. I know there's not, you can say, what can I do? What can I do? Have those conversations when they arise. Talk about it. It's going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to lose a friend. You're going to have a family member that want to probably disown you or not want to be a part of you. But you're a child of God. Mm. We love him, not that we're trying to please other people. Okay, we have to stop that. We have to stop the violence. We have to stop the racism, and to help people get the hatred out of their heart. You have to talk about it, and let Christ flow through you, and talk about it. And pray.
We were at the protest the other day. I was looking at little Ezra sitting in his little red stroller, and I always want to squeeze his cheeks. I always talk about his cheeks, but I was looking at him and how innocent he is, and I was like, he has no idea what he's growing up into. Like, this world just, and people just it stinks. Like, they shouldn't have to be, this shouldn't be have to be what they grow up into. The outside world, like, is just not a good place, and it just stinks.
Well, 2 more questions, and I'll let y'all. So, Pam, you kind of hit on this. I mean, quote Whitney Houston, "The children are our future." Mm-hmm. What are the conversations? And you've hit on this a little bit, but I'd like to hear more. What are the conversations that you're having with your children?
With mine, Jordan and I have just the regular conversation that since he's old enough to drive and goes out and hangs out with his friends and stuff, he's an adult now, he's turned 18, but, I just had this conversation that probably most parents do, respect authority, just don't break the law, use common sense. With my younger ones, they watch the news. Jackson, I've had to tell him that not all cops are bad. Mm-hmm. Just because a few cops do something bad doesn't mean all cops are bad. Not all black people are bad. And, he thinks that just because of what they've shown on the news, which the media stinks also, because of what they've shown on the news, he thinks that it's just black people looting and rioting. Mm. And, just because of those few bad apples, we're not all bad. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, you treat people the way that you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. The things that we were brought up being told. Treat people the way that you want to treat. Be kind. Mm-hmm. Love one another. I just try to teach them, you know, to have common sense and teach them things that we were taught as kids.
So some of the conversations we're having, you know, or had and going to continue to have, is that my kids are, you know, fairly young, so that they really don't know, right? So but I want them to know what they could face, like I said, when Dominic get older, and things like that. So we have had the conversations of, you will, I'm not going to say potentially, I'm preparing them, you will be treated differently by the color of your skin. Mm-hmm. You know, we're sitting at our dinner table and we're having that conversation, and my wife asked a question, and I was like, wow. She said, do you ever wake up and go, there's my black dad and there's my white mom? And they used to start laughing, like, what? You know, like, it kind of threw them off, and they was like, no, you know, like, it just, you know, not in their head. And that's how people in the world see us. Mm-hmm. There's a black dad, there's a white mom. Our kids don't see that. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling them they're going to see that. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say that. And they're going to say, there's a black kid. Mm-hmm. There's a black girl. Or in Dominic's world, you know, I have to let them know, you're pretty light-skinned. Mm-hmm. You might perceive white by some, you might perceive black by some, and not have those conversations. You might be riding with, you know, black people, you know, at one time, and they might think you're black. It's going to be a bunch of different scenarios that's going to come up. Mm-hmm. You know, and having those conversations and just being brutally honest with them. They know about, you know, racism and, you know, lynching and things like that, you know, with history, and talk about how black people was treated differently, and, you know, they love Martin Luther King. Why was he about that? You know, Martin Luther King had the, you know, the march and all this stuff. So they know about it. Okay, they read it in their little books that they have and things. But now we're telling them this is still happening today. And if we continue down this road, it's going to happen to you when you get older. I'm not going to say it, hopefully, son, it doesn't happen. I'm saying, son, this is going to happen. We need Jesus, man. That's what we need, or it's going to happen.
All right, one more question. So, you know, I've hit on the fact that our church is primarily a white church. And that's not like in our core values or anything. That's just an accurate description. And you've talked about how being together is really the answer. I mean, and understanding one another. So to me, the clearest way that can be different is by the church, family, being more diverse. So how do we become more diverse? What's your advice?
That's it's a hard one, you know, just, you know, again, because it's in, you know, how do we get more customers through the drive-thru? You know,
I know, because you can go out and recruit.
Right. So it's really a hard question, but it's a fair question, you know, yeah. with that. I would say how I came to the church, and maybe someone can take that and run with it. You know, I can say that. So my wife and I, we had our children. You know, we said, okay, we got to get into church because we have moved here. We got to find us a church home. You know, I was working at McDonald's up there as a general manager, and I was meeting this guy, white guy, got to know me. He was really nice to me, you know, all the time. You know, then all of a sudden he really kept trying to connect with me, you know, on a certain level. And his name is Reverend Grimes. So he was doing that. And then he invited me to the church. And we have visited a couple of churches, and he invited me to First Baptist. I came, and I must say, we felt welcome. We felt welcome. We felt loved. My kids feel safe. They're happy. I'm happy. My wife's happy. You know, and that's what it's about. And it's continuing. It's even better. And we're looking for more ways to serve. I mean, we're immersed in the church. But the thing is for our white Christians, you know, and to bring black people to the church, when you're out and about, connect with that person that when you go to your favorite eating spot, black person, if they're there, if you see them on a regular basis, any venues you go to, you know, because Reverend Grimes he's still talking about, he got to get his sausage biscuits and his coffee, come in with Jack. So they had it. I was there. He just kept connecting with me every day, and then invited me to church. And here I am. I mean, going on 6 years and loving it.
So I felt welcome. I felt loved. Anytime anything has ever happened or I've needed anything, the church family's pulled through. Like, it's a great place.
I agree with that one wholeheartedly. This is a wonderful church family. I know myself. I have needed help, and I've called upon the church, and they have, ooh, thank you, Jesus, come through for me. Didn't have to do it. And you're the reason that I started attending the Sunday services. I went to a Bible study on a Wednesday night, me and my neighbor, and you was walking in the hall and he was like, hey, how you doing? And we introduced ourselves. That Sunday I came to church and you was like, oh, Pam, you made it. Do you know that made me feel so good that I met you on a Wednesday night. And I know you have a whole lot of members, but for you to remember my name.
It's getting people to, reflect the kingdom of God. I mean, so how can you take that negative? You know, then you're if you're taking something that God is saying negatively, wow, be careful. So get your heart right. So don't ever be afraid to do that. That's what I would say about that. And if you come out and you think how we feel when they come, and people look at it, and I thought about when we come back and everybody talk about it, talk to me. Don't be afraid of it. Talk to me. Hug me. Just like she said.
Well, not right now.
Not right now. Right now with the coronavirus. But yes, but those things is what she said. It's don't be silent. I'm not saying that everyone have to say everything about it or you got to give a long speech, but it's okay to talk about it.
Now people are going to go out of their way to come and talk to us.
What I'm saying is don't be you. Church family, be you and let us know that you love us, and because we are a family. If my son is hurting, I'm gonna give him a hug. I'm gonna talk to him. If my friend is hurting and I'm there, I'm gonna talk to him. We're a family. That's Pastor James, like I said, talking to me, loving on me, through a message. So when you see us, don't stare at us. Talk to us. But give me that smile you always give me. In that way. Let's continue to love each other and talk about it.
Just thank you so much, because I know this isn't necessarily easy, and so but it's really silly for us to ignore this, and I think that even your willingness to share as our family will be very beneficial. So thank y'all. Love y'all very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Appreciate
doing
it.
this.
Thank you.
I love you too.